Prince George and Princess Charlotte made a surprise royal appearance at Wimbledon. The royal kids stepped out with parents Prince William and Kate Middleton on Sunday.
She's 9 years old. She loves ponies, wears sparkly sneakers, and has a smirk that says she knows exactly how much power she holds, whether she's holding a royal bouquet or correcting her older brother in public. But now, Princess Charlotte of Wales has done something no other child her age has ever done in modern British royal history. She's inherited one of the monarchy's oldest, most prestigious titles, Princess Royal. This isn't a costume crown handed out at a school play. It's not a courtesy title or a cute nickname. It is a title steeped in centuries of tradition, typically reserved for the eldest daughter of the reigning monarch, a badge of royal seniority, continuity, and above all, duty. And it's just been passed down from one of the most respected members of the royal family, Princess Anne. The same Princess Anne who has spent more than 5 decades embodying the role with unapologetic grit, zero nonsense, and a calendar more packed than most CEOs. So, why Charlotte? Why now? And what does this seismic decision say about the future of the royal family? This isn't just an act of ceremony. It's a signal fire lit from the heart of Buckingham Palace. A quiet but unmistakable declaration that the Windsors are preparing for a new era. One shaped not by nostalgia, but by survival. Because for all the pomp and pageantry, the modern monarchy faces real pressures. Public opinion is shifting, headlines are sharper than ever, and within palace walls, time is ticking. King Charles battles a serious illness. Prince William and Princess Catherine carry the weight of tomorrow. And somewhere in the middle of it all, a little girl is stepping into the spotlight with the world watching. Princess Charlotte's rise to Princess Royal isn't about indulging fairy tale fantasies. It's about re-engineering legacy. It's about infusing an ancient institution with the energy and clarity of youth. It's about reminding people, doubters and devotees alike, that this family has its eyes on the future, even if that future is wearing a hair bow and clutching a stuffed unicorn. This move is bold, it's symbolic, and perhaps most importantly, it's strategic. Because titles in the royal world are never just titles. They're statements, they are tools, they are tests. And in giving this one to Charlotte, the royal family isn't just naming a princess, they're shaping a queen in the making. To understand the weight of what's just happened, we need to talk about the title itself. Princess Royal. It sounds elegant, regal, maybe even a little ceremonial. But don't be fooled. This is no honorary ribbon. It is one of the most distinguished and exclusive designations in the British monarchy, and it comes with a legacy that stretches back nearly 400 years. The title of Princess Royal is not automatically granted. In fact, it's not even guaranteed. It's a personal gift from the reigning monarch, traditionally bestowed on his or her eldest daughter. And here's the twist. There can only be one Princess Royal at a time. That means even if a monarch has multiple daughters, or if the existing title holder lives a long, active life, no one else can wear that crown until it's vacated. That's part of what makes this moment so historic. Princess Anne has held the title since 1987. For nearly 4 decades, she has carried it with fierce independence and absolute dedication. Anne didn't inherit the spotlight, she earned it. Known for being one of the hardest-working royals, her schedule has regularly outpaced those half her age. She's toured war zones, presided over military ceremonies, represented the crown across continents, and championed humanitarian causes long before it was fashionable. Save the Children, St. John Ambulance, riding for the disabled. These aren't just patronages to her, they're commitments. To many, Anne has been the embodiment of duty, quiet, consistent, effective. And for her to pass this title, her title, to a 9-year-old girl is no small matter. It's not just tradition being followed. It's tradition being transformed. Because let's be clear, Charlotte is not the eldest daughter of the reigning monarch. King Charles is her grandfather. That alone makes this move unprecedented. Technically, she doesn't even meet the classical qualifications. And yet, here we are. The rules, unwritten as they often are in the House of Windsor, are being rewritten in real time. It's a moment that says two things very clearly. First, that the monarchy is planning long-term, thinking decades ahead. And second, that Charlotte isn't just a child born into privilege. She's being groomed as a pillar of the institution, an anchor for the next generation of royals. The Princess Royal title, after all, is more than a fancy label. It's a role of active public service. It represents continuity, stability, and presence. Wherever the monarch cannot be, the Princess Royal often is. And for years, that meant Anne. Steadfast, no nonsense, always ready to carry the banner. Now, it signals something else entirely, the coming of age of a new royal archetype, one that blends youthful charm with historical gravity, one that suggests the monarchy isn't just reacting to the times, it's trying, subtly, to shape them. So, why now? Why Charlotte? Why would a title held for nearly 4 decades by one of the most respected royals be passed on to someone who hasn't even entered secondary school? The answer lies somewhere between strategy, symbolism, and survival. On the surface, this may seem like a sweet familial gesture, a grandmotherly figure bestowing an honor on her granddaughter. But dig deeper, and you'll find a decision loaded with intent. The royal family doesn't move on impulse. Everything, especially something this visible, is deliberate. And this particular move is all about laying foundations for the monarchy's future, brick by brick, title by title. Let's not forget the larger context. King Charles, now in his 70s and dealing with serious health concerns, represents a monarchy in the midst of transition. His reign, while full of ceremonial milestones, is not built to be decades long. He knows it. The institution knows it. The public knows it. The future of the monarchy doesn't rest on his shoulders. It rests on the next generation. And that generation begins not just with Prince William, but with his children. George, Charlotte, and Louis aren't just royal kids. They are the continuity plan. In this landscape, Charlotte becomes a particularly compelling figure. She stands at the intersection of tradition and transformation. As the second child of the heir to the throne, she doesn't carry the immediate burden of kingship like George, but she isn't pushed to the fringes like so many second-born royals before her. Thanks to a landmark change in royal succession law in 2013, ending the system of male preference primogeniture, Charlotte retains her place in line ahead of her younger brother Louis. That may seem technical, but in the world of royal protocol, it's revolutionary. It means that for the first time in history, a royal daughter hasn't been pushed aside simply because of her gender. So when Princess Anne passes down her title, she's doing more than choosing a worthy successor. She's co-signing a new philosophy, one that values capability over hierarchy, one that sees potential, not just bloodlines. And let's talk about Charlotte herself. The public's exposure to her has been carefully curated, but even in limited appearances, she's shown herself to be confident, composed, and utterly unfazed by the cameras. At public events, she moves with an assurance that belies her age, waving when appropriate, stepping in line without hesitation, correcting her siblings when protocol slips. She's not just following cues, she's absorbing them. She's also growing up in a different royal environment than previous generations. Her parents, Prince William and Princess Catherine, have made it their mission to raise their children with as much normalcy as possible, despite the crown-shaped microscope hovering above their lives. School runs, family outings, homemade birthday cakes. It's all part of an effort to build royals who are relatable as much as they are regal. That balance between tradition and relatability is key to the monarchy's survival in the 21st century. And Charlotte is being shaped right at the center of it. So why now? Because the royal family is playing the long game. They're sending a message to the public, to the world, and perhaps most crucially, to themselves. The future isn't just arriving, it's being prepared, and they're choosing to invest in that future early. Giving Charlotte the Princess Royal title isn't just about honoring a child. It's about empowering a future leader. It's a calculated move designed to say, she's ready to begin the journey. Watch her grow into it. And if history has taught us anything about the House of Windsor, it's that nothing is accidental. The symbolism behind this move is impossible to ignore. In the often rigid world of monarchy, where titles, traditions, and timetables are etched in centuries of precedent, shaking things up carries meaning far beyond the headlines. Transferring the title of Princess Royal to Princess Charlotte isn't just about passing the torch. It's about redefining what that torch even is. Let's start with the obvious. The monarchy is under pressure. Public trust in royal institutions has seen fluctuations in recent years, particularly among younger generations who question the relevance of an inherited elite in a world obsessed with merit, equity, and transparency. Gone are the days when blind reverence was the default setting. Today's public wants a monarchy that feels accountable, modern, and emotionally in tune with the times. Enter Charlotte. By placing such a powerful historical title into the hands of a child born in 2015, the Crown is sending a clear message. We're thinking about tomorrow. They're not clinging to outdated customs out of nostalgia. They're updating the script in real time. Princess Anne held this title with unmatched strength and discipline. She defined it. But the baton is now being passed, not in a whisper at the end of a reign, but boldly, while Anne is still very much present and respected. That's not a quiet handover. That's a powerful endorsement. In this act, there's a clever duality at play. On one hand, the title maintains its historical prestige, rooted in a long-standing tradition. On the other, it becomes a canvas for something new. The image of a young royal growing up in a time of climate change protests, digital revolutions, mental health awareness, and rapidly evolving gender politics. Charlotte, through no choice of her own, represents a unique opportunity for the monarchy to bridge generations. She is both a symbol of tradition and a blueprint for reinvention. And let's not underestimate the power of gender in this moment. Historically, the British monarchy has favored male heirs. Even titles like Duke and Earl have often outranked their female counterparts. And for centuries, women in the royal family, unless born first, were largely shuffled to the side. But Charlotte's ascent disrupts that narrative. Because of the 2013 succession law, her place in line isn't determined by her gender, but by birth order. And now, being named Princess Royal, a title that is, by its nature, female-focused, cements her importance not as an afterthought, but as a central figure in the next chapter of royal leadership. It's not just symbolic progress, it's institutional reform. And that matters, because symbols, especially in monarchies, are everything. The crown, the scepter, the title. They carry stories, expectations, and power. So giving Charlotte this role doesn't just give her prestige, it gives her responsibility. It tells the world, this little girl is not just a spare, she's a force. She will grow up learning what it means to carry not just the weight of public service, but the expectations of a modernized monarchy. She will be trained, watched, advised, critiqued, and probably praised and punished in equal measure by the public eye. And still, she will be expected to stand tall, smile when appropriate, speak when necessary, and represent something larger than herself, all while navigating life as a child, then teenager, then adult, in a world that never lets her take a step without commentary. That's the real symbolism here. Not just the title, not just the nod to legacy, but the royal family's willingness to put forward someone young, female, and untested as a cornerstone of their future. It's bold, it's calculated, and it's quietly revolutionary. But let's not pretend this is going to be easy. Being Princess Royal isn't just about the prestige or the pageantry. It's a commitment, a lifelong contract of service, scrutiny, and sacrifice. Princess Anne didn't earn her reputation by smiling from balconies or posing for magazine covers. She earned it through work. Tireless, thankless, consistent work. Hundreds of royal engagements every year. International charity missions, military patronages, quiet diplomacy, and rarely, if ever, a complaint. That's the real inheritance Charlotte has just received. Not the tiara, the timetable, not the photo ops, the pressure. Because no matter how charming, poised, or photogenic she might be, none of that will matter if she can't live up to the expectations that now come stapled to her name. The monarchy, for all its rituals, is at its heart a performance. And every royal plays a part. Charlotte's part has just become a starring role, whether she's ready for it or not. She's still a child, yes, but she's a child born into a family where childhood is always watched, always weighed. Every gesture becomes a headline. Every moment of silence is read for meaning. Every outfit, every facial expression, every interaction with a sibling, dissected by the public, the press, and royal watchers who thrive on prediction and speculation. And it will only intensify from here. The world will expect her to be gracious but not distant, relatable but not too casual, strong but never sharp, feminine but never fragile. She'll be expected to take up causes, maybe climate change, mental health, education, and speak on them with authority, even before she's old enough to vote. And yes, she'll be compared to her mother, to her grandmother, to her great-grandmother, to other royal children across Europe, to people she's never met, and versions of herself that don't exist. But maybe, just maybe, she can carry it, because there's already evidence, even at this young age, that Charlotte has something rare, that elusive royal blend of composure and charisma. At events, she's often seen standing just a little straighter than her brothers. Her eyes scan the crowd, alert. She waves with intention, not just imitation. There's confidence there, and instinct. When she told Prince George to bow now during Queen Elizabeth II's funeral procession, it wasn't just adorable. It was telling. She knows where she is. She understands the moment. She understands the weight of it. That's not something you can teach. That's something you either have or you don't. So, while it's easy to get swept up in the fairy tale narrative, the tiny princess taking on a centuries-old title, the truth is far more complex. Charlotte's future will be shaped by forces she can't control. The media, the public, the politics of monarchy. But within that storm, she may have more agency than anyone expects. She may not be heir to the throne, but she is now heir to a role that matters. Not just because of its history, but because of what it can become in her hands. And with Princess Anne as her mentor, Charlotte won't be walking into this role blind. She'll have one of the greatest role models the monarchy has ever produced. Someone who's shown what it means to lead without fanfare, to serve without self-promotion, and to speak volumes without ever raising her voice. That mentorship might be the most powerful part of this entire transition. Because titles can be handed down, but wisdom has to be earned and shared. And in Anne, Charlotte has a guide, a blueprint, a tough, quiet shadow who's already paved the road ahead. That alone could make all the difference. This decision also signals something far bigger than a title change. It represents a shift in the monarchy's core strategy: how it communicates, how it survives, and how it plans to stay relevant in a world that's growing increasingly skeptical of inherited power. In naming Princess Charlotte as the new Princess Royal, the Windsors are doing more than passing down an old honor. They are sending a calculated message to the public, loud and clear. We are changing, quietly, carefully, but undeniably. Let's be honest, public sentiment toward the royal family is not what it used to be. While Queen Elizabeth II managed to maintain a level of universal respect and symbolic stability through decades of social change, her passing opened the gates to questions that have lingered for years. Why does the monarchy still exist? Who does it serve? Is it a symbol of unity or a relic of empire? The royals know this. They read the same headlines. They feel the tension between devotion and disinterest, between heritage and hard reality. And so they are adjusting, selectively modernizing without appearing desperate. It's a balancing act as delicate as any coronation crown. That's where Charlotte comes in. Young, female, relatable. Charlotte offers something that few royals can right now: authenticity without baggage. She's untouched by scandal, unburdened by controversy, and still young enough to be molded into the kind of public figure the monarchy needs: charismatic, dutiful, empathetic, and future-facing. By elevating her now, the monarchy gains something rare: time. Time to shape her public image. Time to introduce her gradually into the machinery of royal service. Time to build a narrative that positions her not just as a title holder, but as a symbol of institutional renewal. This isn't about nostalgia, it's about optics, legacy, and long-term planning. Because the truth is, the royal family can't survive on tradition alone. In today's world, institutions need to earn their place. They need to be seen as useful, as evolving, as connected to the people they serve. That's why Prince William and Princess Catherine have been so deliberate in how they raise their children, striking that fragile balance between royal protocol and real-world parenting. Charlotte represents the culmination of that balance. She's already captured public imagination, not through scandal or spectacle, but through moments of quiet leadership, a well-timed glance, a confident posture, a sibling nudge that tells everyone, "I know what I'm doing." These are the building blocks of public trust, not declarations, but gestures. And when those gestures are repeated, year after year, event after event, they create something powerful: a reputation. The kind of reputation Princess Anne spent a lifetime building. And now, perhaps, one Charlotte will carry forward into a new age. It's easy to underestimate a child in a pretty dress waving at a parade. But history has shown us again and again that some of the most transformative figures start just like that: small, quiet, and largely unseen until the moment the world is ready to look. Charlotte's journey to Princess Royal isn't just a personal milestone. It's a calculated investment by the monarchy into its own future. An investment in visibility, in values, in legacy. But titles alone don't secure the future of the monarchy. Actions do. And if Charlotte is to become more than just a name in a lineage, her path will depend on how she chooses, or is guided, to use her new platform. Because being Princess Royal isn't just about turning up at ribbon cuttings or wearing historical jewels. It's about stepping into the living pulse of public life, showing up where it matters, speaking on issues that count, and reflecting the values of a nation that is no longer content with ceremonial silence. That's where things get especially interesting. The role of modern royals is changing. They're no longer expected to simply represent the crown at state banquets or stand behind bulletproof glass, waving politely. The new expectation, whether voiced openly or not, is that they connect. with people, with problems, with progress. Look at Princess Anne's legacy. Her most important contributions weren't flashy. They were grounded, hands-on, deeply embedded in real causes: rural healthcare, prison reform, youth development, equestrian therapy. She was never chasing headlines, and yet she made a career out of doing the quiet work that mattered. That's the model Charlotte inherits. And if the monarchy hopes to remain relevant, it's the model she'll need to adapt for a new generation. One raised on social justice, climate anxiety, mental health awareness, and digital activism. Charlotte will need to choose her issues, or have them chosen for her, wisely. But more importantly, she'll need to embody why she cares about them, not as a royal obligation, but as a personal commitment. Because the audience she's growing up with isn't passive. They ask questions, they demand transparency, they notice performative gestures, and call them out. That's a unique challenge, but also a powerful opportunity. Charlotte isn't expected to lead right now. That gives her time. Time to grow, to learn, to explore the causes that truly move her. Whether it's environmental advocacy, children's education, or supporting mental health initiatives like her mother has championed, her platform is already forming. And if it's used with authenticity, it can build a brand of royalty that feels earned, not inherited. The fact that she's starting young is crucial. Previous generations of royals were thrust into duty late, often with little preparation. But Charlotte's being brought into the fold early, in an age-appropriate way. That means less culture shock and more integration. She'll grow into her public role the way most kids grow into school uniforms. Gradually, awkwardly at times, but eventually with ease. And by giving her the Princess Royal title now, the family is giving her not just a symbol of her importance, but a sense of ownership. This isn't something being dangled in front of her as an adult reward. It's a part of her story from the start. That kind of early investment can create a deep-rooted sense of responsibility, the kind that inspires real commitment later on. Still, none of this will be easy. The same spotlight that flatters can also blind. Charlotte will have to walk a line few people ever do, between public figure and private citizen, between duty and freedom, between being a symbol and being a child. And no matter how much support she gets, from her parents, her grandmother, her advisors, at some point, the decisions will fall to her. How visible should she be? What kind of royal does she want to become? How will she respond to criticism, to setbacks, to inevitable mistakes? These questions may seem far off, but in the royal world, they arrive quickly. And the answers, once public, rarely disappear. What we're witnessing, then, isn't just the passing of a title. It's the beginning of a long, carefully crafted arc, one that could define what monarchy looks like for the next 50 years. One that could, in time, position Princess Charlotte as more than just the face of royal continuity. She could become the face of royal evolution. Charlotte's journey from royal daughter to Princess Royal also invites us to think more broadly about what it means to be a modern royal, especially a female one, in the 21st century. Because, for all the grandeur and ceremonial tradition, the role she steps into is no longer about merely representing the crown, it's about representing change while wearing the crown. Historically, female royals were often confined to limited lanes: diplomacy by charm, influence by marriage, visibility through obedience. They were seen, not heard, praised for poise, rarely for power. Even those who shaped history, Queen Victoria, Queen Elizabeth I, Queen Elizabeth II, did so by bending the system just enough to command authority, all while embodying the persona of graceful restraint. But today's world demands more. It demands visibility, vulnerability, and voice. Royals now must speak, not just read scripts written for them. They must connect, not just appear. And they must take stands on issues that matter, not merely appear neutral in fear of upsetting tradition. Charlotte's very presence in this role disrupts old expectations. She's not being quietly tucked into the background like royal daughters of previous eras. She's not simply attending events because of proximity to the throne. She is being positioned as a working royal in her own right, a future leader, not just a supporting character. And this is happening at a time when women in leadership around the world are redefining what power looks like. It's not always loud, it's not always dominant, but it is intentional, it is effective, and it's being modeled across politics, activism, and culture. Charlotte has the potential to absorb these lessons from a young age, to grow into a royal figure who doesn't just inherit power, but uses it consciously, empathetically, and courageously. The symbolic weight of her role is also amplified by the fact that she's part of a royal family that has seen dramatic shifts in gender dynamics. Her grandmother, Queen Camilla, is a queen consort who took the long road to public acceptance. Her mother, Princess Catherine, has carved a path as both a style icon and a serious advocate for children's development and mental health. These women have shown that femininity and influence are not mutually exclusive. Charlotte now inherits that lineage, but she has a chance to take it even further. She'll come of age in a time where female empowerment isn't just a movement, it's an expectation. And her ability to thrive will rest not on how perfectly she mimics those who came before, but how bravely she forges her own style of leadership. That might mean engaging with issues once considered too political for royalty. It could mean aligning herself with global causes that reflect the values of her generation: sustainability, inclusivity, digital safety. It might mean rethinking what royal engagements even look like. Less ribbon cutting, more real-world interaction. Less distance, more dialogue. And yet, with all this potential comes the impossible double standard. Because no matter how capable she becomes, Charlotte, like every royal woman before her, will be judged differently, more harshly, more invasively. Her outfits will be dissected, her body language interpreted, her voice scrutinized not just for what it says, but for how it says it. She will be expected to be relatable, but not too familiar, inspirational, but not controversial, flawless, but never robotic. This is the cruel paradox of modern royalty, especially for women. And navigating it will be one of Charlotte's greatest challenges. But it's also where her unique upbringing might give her an edge. William and Catherine have been adamant about creating as normal a life as possible for their children. School drop-offs, homemade meals, digital boundaries. The Wales children are being raised not to feel entitled to the throne, but prepared for the responsibility that comes with it. And that preparation might be what ultimately equips Charlotte to carry this role into a new era. She won't be molded in secrecy, shielded from the world. She'll be learning in public, growing, evolving, and making mistakes where everyone can see them. That transparency, uncomfortable as it may be, might just be her greatest strength. Because if she can manage to be both royal and real, both traditional and transformative, then Charlotte won't just inherit a title. The passing of a title may seem like a quiet moment in the grand sweep of royal history. No grand speech, no thunderous applause, just a decision made behind palace walls that a little girl with a sharp mind and a steady gaze will now carry one of the monarchy's most storied honors. But as we've seen time and time again, it's the quiet moments that change everything. Princess Charlotte becoming the Princess Royal isn't just about lineage. It isn't just about tradition. It's about intent. It's about the royal family making a choice, to evolve, to adapt, to look forward. And in doing so, they're placing a bet on a girl who represents something rare in the royal world: genuine, untapped potential. She's not shaped by scandal, not weighed down by past mistakes. She arrives with a clean slate and the chance to chart her own course. That alone makes her one of the most important figures in the monarchy's future. Not because of where she stands in line to the throne, but because of what she stands for. Continuity, responsibility, renewal. This isn't a fairy tale, it's a modern institution trying to stay relevant in an era that's rapidly outgrowing inherited privilege. And while critics may scoff at the idea of royalty having any place in today's world, the truth is more complicated. Monarchies survive not by standing still, but by moving, carefully, quietly, but moving all the same. Charlotte's new title is one of those moves, and what comes next will define her, and perhaps the monarchy itself. Will she rise to the weight of it? Will she transform the role, as her great-grandmother once transformed the crown? Will she become the kind of royal the future demands? Thoughtful, connected, compassionate, real? Only time will tell. But if the early signs are any indication, she's not just ready for the title. She's ready for the challenge. And with the guidance of those who came before her, Anne's iron will, Kate's quiet strength, William's modern sensibility, Charlotte may grow into a force the monarchy hasn't seen in generations. She has the name. She has the legacy. Now she has the role. The rest is history waiting to be written.